Is Central Texas Command Center deep behind enemy lines? The information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Thank you for joining us. We're going to have open phones coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll give you that toll-free number at that time. We've got roughly 2 hours spanning out before us. I'm here every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, Austin, Texas. We can be heard on 590 AM, KLBJ here in Austin, and other great affiliates from San Francisco, California, to Buffalo, New York, from Chicago, Illinois, to Miami, Florida. Again, thank you so much for joining us, coming to you via the GCN Radio Network. Okay, let me just mention the stacks I've got here. You want to know the bottom line, what's really happening with all this news about Cheney and torture and blocking investigations of torture, and Obama saying he's going to look into threatening people with power drills. You want to know what's really happening? Obama's running a whitewash of this while posing as if he's actually trying to prosecute these crimes. The torture is continuing. So it's all part of this false left-right paradigm that is coming up. But I'll do that next hour. I've got a big stack of economic news. The head of the New York Business School, Robini, who I want to get back on, by the way, he's been on with us quite a few times. He's saying governments are already reaching the point where they're borrowing to pay for interest on their borrowing, a global Ponzi scheme. Also, Inside Science, big scientific prestigious journal, has done its own computer analysis of who owns the world's derivatives and banks, and it's less than 5 global banks. Yes, the New World Order, and they run the entire scam and have more wealth, hundreds of times more wealth than there is in all the world. That is real assets. That's why they have to have a global depression to get your real wealth. They've made unlimited fake money, but they're mad because they can't get your house, your farm, your roads, your business. Well, they are under the New World Order. So we're going to be going over the total tyranny of these bastards. Another headline here, N.M. Rothschild pitches motorway privatization plan. See, they bankrupt government, and now, just like third world countries, over 90% of the U.S. and British and other Western world countries of your taxes are going to go to private banks to pay interest on fiat money they made up. You understand? When we bail the banks out, we got to pay them interest for the money we give them, and then we become their slaves for giving them all our money. I mean, I always talk about this because just the magnitude of it. But again, they've got all these yuppies by the short hairs, and they tell them, oh, you won't get your 401k, you won't get your retirement unless you stick with this. And they hold you all hostage while they devalue your dollar. But you love it. That's why you're idiots. So, fine, have it your way. Drink some more fluoride, go take the flu shot, drink out of plasticware, wonder why you look like a woman, and, when you're 40 years old. It's just fine. You want that? Go ahead. So we'll be going over that. Also, TSA may hand cash rewards to tipsters about crimes or security violations, turning everybody into tattletales. And a bunch of other important news. Fluoride linked to arthritis, study shows. Other major studies show that vaccines are linked to early onset of arthritis. But again, doesn't matter what the facts are. We made the Toronto Star front page of their Metro section. The Obama posters are by the tens of thousands, the reporter told me. They just said every major street is lined with them. They asked, is this some type of invasion? And I said, yes, of freedom. The Obama, Infowars.com, Obama Socialism, Obama New World Order posters are plastering from Tokyo, Japan, to Berlin, Germany, from London, England, to Austin, Texas. My sister said St. Edwards, where she goes to college. She's a lot younger than me, and also talked to her. She said she was down at UT at a party, and they were all over the place. So good job, Austin. It's just global. And again, an example of people taking action, getting involved, going out and saying, I'm not part of the left-right paradigm. I see through your corporate president, Barack Obama. So we'll be going over some of that as well today. I want to direct your attention, though, to a CNET story, CNET News. put out by Declan McCullough. We've had him on many times. Let's get him on this week. Declan McCullough. Bill would give president emergency control over the internet. And I was out of town on Wednesday and Thursday, and I noticed my email box, the comment sections, phone calls were, Alex, are you going to cover this? Yes, we've been beating our head against a wall, covering it every week, the Cyber Security Act. Obama, for 8 months, has been giving speeches about it. The Pentagon, and we've written articles about this, and the Air Force, and the San Antonio News tried to go out and show one of the big NSA bases they're building, and the cops came out and said, in America, you can't show this. And they said, what's the law? And they said, we have guns. That's the law, slave. But they're building these bases all over the country, and by federal law, they want to make every internet system, every server, you pay for it. And you pass it on to your customers, I guess, have a piece of government equipment plugged into it. Just like with the Telecommunications Act of 96, $9 billion was given of taxpayer money to AT&T and others to put whole floors of their buildings, or to build buildings next door to their main buildings, where the NSA openly reads every email, every fax, every phone call with keyword software listening. And of course, that was all in the Telecommunications Act, and people called it a conspiracy theory when I talked about it. Then 10 years later, in 2008, I guess more than 10 years later, 12 years later, they report, oh, yes, all over the country, entire floors of every IT building, every phone company are NSA. See, the phone company is the NSA. And that's all this is but this will cost, they're saying, maybe $100 billion just to put it in, and tens of billions a year. Even the smaller IT companies, smaller servers, everything will have a government-approved pieces of equipment coupled to it where they can shut you off, they can spy at will, they have all the codes and back doors to your systems openly. And they're really already doing most of this, but this is because Microsoft's a government front. That's come out totally. Bill Gates runs nothing. That's just a complete front. They can't have the government openly running things, so they set up IBM as a front, Microsoft as a front, and then that's actually part of the corporate records if you go research it. But side issue, Microsoft's really like a Planned Parenthood front. It's like a foundation mainly to raise money for Planned Parenthood. Oh, you didn't know that? You didn't know that Gates' daddy runs it? But side issue. Same with IBM, the main funders of Hitler, of course. And then when the old man died in the 50s, he gave his money and said the tax-free foundation had to be for carrying out eugenics. If you don't know what eugenics is, you better find out. When you're drinking tap water, you're enjoying a little eugenics. Let me give you the lowdown, the down low, the DL, baby. Truth's a lot stranger than fiction, I'll assure you. But Bill would give president emergency control of the internet. And they've now got a diversity chairman over the internet. And they're saying the FCC is going to run the internet now. And they've got more than 10 senators I've seen the last few months saying they are going to try to shut down talk radio and free speech. And they're going to have a tax on radio, online radio as well, where you're going to have to fund NPR, which is National Petroleum Radio, not National Public Radio, openly run by the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, the eugenicists. I mean, this is just incredible. And so when we get back, I want to go over how they're taking over the internet and how they're going to end the free open internet as you know it. But before we go to break, a very simple piece of this is Google Phone. Tens of millions signed up for it. Basically free phone service in the country you live in. Very cheap, less than a cent a minute overseas. Well, Apple iPhone and AT&T don't allow you to contact any of their phones or their phone system with a Google phone. That's how they shut the web down. That's how they shut the internet down, is by just blocking off the addresses. But they want physical control over the infrastructure itself, with, quote, the government having the power to kill the internet to save it. And the Pentagon, again, admitted they've been attacking their own systems and then blaming it on foreign governments as a pretext to pass this bill. And if this bill doesn't pass, look for a false flag, fake internet attack to get it passed in the next few months. This is Alex Jones.